I just hear Mr. Rogers when it plays. I love it. All right. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. And I want you to know that when I prepare for a reading, especially at Joe's, I like to listen to the artist that I'm being paired with. I'm so sorry, guys. I have listened to probably hours of your stuff online, even though you weren't paired together, I guess. But I do so because I recognize that poetry is of a moment, and for us it's of a season. So what you're going to hear from the selection tonight is that it is very much summer in all of its heat. Thank you. I was going to say hellish glory, but heat, yeah. But also paired with our trio, they have a real emotional timbre to them in the choices that they play. So I try to match that a little bit. So you're going to have a little bit of an emotional ride, and then we'll get back to the music. All right? Sound good? Yeah. Okay. All right, so this first one is called Cabin Obad. I ate a peach one morning, the juice becoming rivers, until my elbows gleamed with sugar like new freckles. The soft fur halting my tongue as I slurped the meat from its stone. There is a beauty to fruit eaten outside, like dying in your childhood home. Past the porch, turkeys picked their way through woods, wearing the bald browns of summer, modest in their somber pecking, blessed with grubs and daylight. I loosed the pit, sailing through the trees until it landed among the mossy bottom. Feathers scraped bark, and they were gone. So, like I tell my students, I'm not from St. Louis, so you can't ask me where I went to high school. Military brat. But every summer we were sent back to be with our grandparents to raise that, and strengthen that bond, and to work a lot. So I was always sent back to Missouri every summer. And so this speaks to some of that. North of Kansas City. My sister squats to peel grass from her toes, the skin she sheds every summer in our grandmother's kitchen. Her knees, stained red by cherry pits that slid from the fruit heart, glow copper and shrink as she sits at the table and we slip spades to the left under cover of jelly jars fat with tea. Outside, the silver bucket blooms between the weeds that lick rust from the water pump. One year we slept under blankets pinned to clotheslines, drank from that wild faucet and believed we were meant to live that way forever. Night pulls the horses from the river, drags their swayed backs back to the toothpick fence below the hill and under the redbud tree that grew out of gravel. Now, this is a music crowd, so I assume you'll feel a little connection with this one about those artists that you love and you just study their work and maybe study a little too much. This one's called Sister Dances. In the booth across from me, her head ricochets off blues that slip through headphones, and I wonder if Robert Johnson tasted the poison. He must have tasted it for years, tinging the edges of his chords, a slow fire burning in the corners of his words. I think he invented the soul. Strung 2 tin cups up with chicken wire to scrape and clack against the wind, and called it a night. Outside, stars shake from the moon like salt, and her neck braids air as she twists, knowing. Johnson knew one day he'd sing himself to death, cut his throat with guitar strings, and lay out among the beds of Mississippi mud. Slowly we tip into the night, wade through the streets like rivers to wash up one morning on the banks of home. She calls him Bobby now, and I wonder if he tells her too much. Notes pass through slow rolling woes. So aside from the heat of summer, there's something that I absolutely love. And like I said, military brats, I've been a lot of places, but there is something about that Midwest summer blazing sunset. There's something to it, the way the sun dies each night. And so this right here is called New Shade. Every sun surrenders the day like a horse dying in the rains. Each shadow a buckled knee, a broken body discarded. There is a reluctance, the last glimmer of life defiant to paint its pain across the sky, a beautiful destruction. This shucking of light like pulling cellophane from avocado reveals a new shade of decay, a bruise that only deepens. The dense envelope of night unfolds, shakes seeds from its corners, stars like a tangle of bright briars, ever perennial. All right, so that work I was talking about, a lot of it had to do with farming and recognizing that there's a season for everything. And as much as I love the season of summer, aside from all the sweat, is recognition that all good things come to an end. And we especially got that when we recognized that we were growing food for a time, right? It's there and then it's gone. And so a large part of that was canning and keeping our food in the cellar so that we could have a taste of summer later. But it works for people too. People are there for a season, right? So what I have here is called Blue Damson Plums, which make the best jam ever. And I still think about them. But this is called Blue Damson Plums. Tart in the jar, rows and rows of smudged glass lined the cellar, the must and damp, the smell of old water deep in cement. Daddy Longlegs crouched in corners to wonder at the kaleidoscope walls, stewed tomatoes, apple butter, quick pickles, bright fingers of peaches floating in syrup, each with a canning date in black marker. But the plums. Fat bodies rolling, swollen with sugar. We had stolen them last summer, but that's not the word we used. The tree was leaning out the back fence of some farmer's lower acres, the branches overgrown, pregnant with fruit. We stopped, my grandmother and I, and the perch from our fishing trip ripening in the sun of the truck bed. She called it being good neighbors. There were already down plums feeding the flies. We were ingenious flies, taking our peace before the fall. I taste the cold settling into her rotting body, like floating in a sweater that's lost its shape, tucked in a kind of cellar that cannot keep her from our cousins for long. And I want to find the stone, too slick in its newness, for death, like the preacher and his black mirror shoes so out of place in field mud. I want to mark her date in fat black ink. There is a satisfying pop as I pry the lid from the mouth. Their soggy heads stain my hands a-gloaming. And in the taut sting that stabs the jaw, I find her whole once more. Now, I'm not going to leave you sad. But I do want to, that season, right? That everything comes to an end, and yet it's all connected, right? Every end comes to a beginning.
Yes.
And I can't be the only one who is still thinking about those Webb telescope photos, right? So, this is called inheritance. This collective trajectory parts to a whole spilling into the next. We are all an amalgamation of terrible beauty passed down. The entire cosmos swirling about our lungs, gnarled fingers of definition woven into the fibrils of our stomachs. There is comfort in knowing that we are not unique. Each baby a plump pastiche carrying the same sticky fists and ugly dimples worn before him. The anger your great-great-grandfather stuffed in his throat blossoms, a gnawing bead of cancer in you. The newest eyes are still older than the moon, and in the end we will always be a great storm of stars hurtling forward. Thank you. Now let's keep it going for the AdamManessTrio.